Good morning, Gemma. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. You are first up, Francie, Interpeas. Good evening. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. I hope all three of you had a wonderful week. Little message on the screen there from me. If you're watching this live or catching it later, this video quality isn't up to par. Don't blame me, the creator. YouTube is struggling to handle 4K video and 4K ultra videos right now. And I got a notice today is Saturday, so it was on Thursday that they are having issues with handling and rebroadcasting 4K and 4K ultra videos. $1 billion corporation is having problems with it, but me on a shoestring budget can figure out how to do it. I don't get it, but that's the way it is. Good morning, Sprinkled Donut. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. But either right now you're looking at me and it's like either ultra, blurry, where it looks like it's probably like 700 or 600, p, or it's crystal clear. And there's no rhyme or reason that we can figure out what, because it didn't address that. But apparently, if you're in certain parts of the world, depending on how close you are to one of their major hubs, the clearer the actual video is. It could be in 1080, it could be in 4K, it could be in 760. But the sprinkled donut, it looks good. So maybe you're closer to one of YouTube's major hubs where because they have data storage systems or whatever. I don't know how it works. At least that's what the speculation is online. I don't know if it's true or not. I just know when I go back to look at the videos and streams that I've done over the last week, we noticed that there was an issue with it, but YouTube didn't say anything until it popped up in the help center this past week. And then they actually, notified creators that there was an issue with rebroadcasting and streaming actual live content in particular is what they addressed. Crystal clear for Francie in Michigan. Well, that's good. Maybe we're on a good server or system today. I don't know, but I'm still going to warn everybody anyways, because it's definitely not my issue. The audio and video is the audio is not exactly 100%. There is some still echo, but I'm working on that. But hopefully it's more crystal clear than it ever has been before. But the video quality, I'm doing everything I can. I'm using a Canon 4K camera to stream this right now. So it doesn't apparently mean anything to YouTube if we do our side of it correctly. So just give everybody a heads up. It's not me. It's not my fault. I'm doing everything I can. Boy, that's hot. Hot coffee. Crystal clear in California. Well, that's good, Interpeas. Kitty Q, good morning, Kitty Q. And welcome to this morning's coffee brew. Crystal clear in your end in the UK. You look great. Well, thank you, Gemma. I appreciate that. I hope you are all doing well. It's been a very, very busy week for me. But before the end of this, you'll get kind of an idea at the end. I got a little update on channel and content, that's coming up. What I've dove into the last week. I went down a rabbit hole of making content that is almost a month out from right now. So, Callie Lisa, good morning. Actually woke up early to catch it live. Well, good, Callie Lisa. Well, glad you could be here with us this morning. I hope you had a great week. All right, let's get this party started. It's been 5 minutes since I started. This is Coffee Brew, the weekly recap show that I do every single Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Mountain, 11 o'clock on the East Coast of the U.S. So every single week, even if you don't get your reminders of this live stream, put a sticky note next to your device that you watch, live streams on, or put a note on the calendar. Every single Saturday, I do it at the same exact time. And I hope that you can be here with us. All right, the following content, as I have to, because I stream to multiple platforms. This is not just for YouTube. The content is utter ridiculous, minor bouts of sarcasm, high likelihood of spontaneous false face palming. Viewer sanity may be challenged, and laughter is highly probable, as are tears. Proceed with caution. In a comfy chair. Possible snacks, wine, or alcohol may be needed to deal with some of these stories, but you've been warned. But in all seriousness, this content is restricted to the ages of 16 plus on YouTube and every platform that I stream to from Restream, which is my streaming software. And anyone who accesses or is watching this content that is under the age of 16 is not my fault, nor those who place ads on this content. That is up to the individual. So be warned. Keep in mind before we start, once the national news became profitable division of media companies, the national news became less about the news and more about stroking the egos of their audience. That is on the left and on the right, and those who are in the middle. It doesn't matter which media company you are watching. You need to understand that the national news media outlets are doing everything they can to stroke the ego of the individual watching, to keep you watching longer. They don't want to upset you any more than maybe calling you to arms to fight the other side. To divided you are, the easier you are to conquer. And when they stroke your ego, you have to also understand that they are leaving out parts of the story or stories completely that may be from your local area. And that is the entire point behind me doing this morning show, is to tell you about the stories that have been in the national media or the local media that you may have missed. Maybe they're a subsection of a major story, but they're still important that you know about them all the same. All right, the first story this week. First off, this is from September 21st to September 28th of 2024. First story is from Arkansas. A couple has been arrested and charged with trying to sell their baby for $1,000 in cash and a 6-pack of beer. This was actually the highest offer that they were willing to take from a family at a campground. They were trying to sell the baby, 2-month-old baby, ladies and gentlemen, 2 months old, for $1,000 cash and a 6-pack of beer. But they had also offered the baby to another individual for $500 and 2 Domino's pizzas. And not even good Domino's pizzas. They wanted 2 cheese pizzas, the cheapest pizzas they had from Domino's. But you can later, if you're watching this, or right now, depending on the device you're on, you can click the link there and read more about these 2 individuals that are pictured here who offered their 2-month-old baby for sale for either $1,000 or $500 in cash, either a 6-pack of beer or 2 pizzas. Don't care about the life of the child or what happens to the child, as long as they got cash and they got something to eat or something to drink. But that's the world we live in. There are people of not just younger people, but there are people in their 30s and 40s who are having children and decide that they just don't care. And it's disgusting and extremely sad. Next one is grandma just give me the cash. A crime of confidence is growing across America where the next generation are scamming grandparents into giving up their life savings. Don't think this can happen to you? You better think again that this could happen to you. So, I'm looking at my notes here. According to the FBI and AARP, 80% of these scams start off with small amounts under $100 and quickly increase in total or duration. Maybe they come to the elderly individual, grandma, grandpa, whatever it may be to them, and they say, "Let me help you pay that bill or show you how to pay that bill online." Maybe it's a power bill, or something like that, and they gain access to their bank account by remembering or writing down the information to that card, and then, well, you know what? I need someone to help me pay for my power bill. Well, let's just have grandpa pay for it because grandma or grandpa have the money and the means to pay it. I'll just do that. That is a crime of convenience and confidence. And it starts off again, something as simple as $100 or less, and then it can quickly grow. According to the AARP, the victims on average lose between $27,000 and $51,000 in a year. An individual who has been scammed or conned out of their money with using one of these minor methods that starts off that way will lose $27,000 to $51,000 in a year. If they have more, they lose more. They'll drain you of everything, and then they will come to you for more and more and more. Another way that is confidence scams are rising across America is people who will call an elderly individual and say that they are a loved one. Maybe they're a nephew or a niece. Then they are in trouble. Maybe their car broke down and they need them to wire them, $150 so they can fix their car so they can get home. Or they've been arrested for some crime in another city or state or out of the country, and they need bail money. And they try to convince the elderly individual that they are who they are and they are related and they need their assistance. And they will take anything, Western Union, Apple Pay cards, you name it. The method of payment is vast. According to the AARP, they have seen this scam not only in North America and the United States and Canada, but they're seeing it in other parts of the world, the UK, Ireland, Scotland, anywhere where there is a vulnerable portion of the population that that may have access to their own funds that they have saved. But these things are growing. Again, 80% of these scams start off with small amounts under $100 and get larger and larger. Again, you can click on the shortened, like Cliff Notes version of the story from People Magazine online that is on your screen, if you wish to. But there are plenty of put it out there, putting grandma or grandpa scam for money into your search engine. I mean, Google is what 90% of the world, I believe, uses, but maybe Bing is still out there. I don't know. I hate Bing, so maybe they are still out there. Next story. Believe it or not, the individual who tried to assassinate former President Trump, this is the second individual, not the kid who was on top of the building who has a couple bullet holes in his head, but the second one, the one that waited at Mar-a-Lago for 12 hours in the bushes to attempt to kill former President Trump, has raised himself one sick son of a beep, and he has been arrested on bad charges. Bad charges are crimes in content against children. You can figure out from that. I am not allowed to say it on YouTube without getting demonetized, but just figure it out. Bad charges against children. And he had explicit content, but he has been arrested and charged with that. This is the son of the guy who tried to kill former President Trump. that the link is really small because it's so god darn long. But I posted the best article from Yahoo News that is the not as is divisive if one side or the other, but it's a long link, but you can definitely click on it now or later, the part that is in blue there, and I'll bring up the actual article itself. Next one is "You're Dead to Me, Young Dolph." One of the men who was accused of killing Young Dolph, the up and coming rap star and hip hop artist, has been found guilty for his part in the actual murder. Now there are several other defendants still to be charged, and there is another individual that additional charges may be levied against. But this is from the Memphis News.com article from the Associated Press, but Memphis newspaper. But you can read more about the who Young Dolph was and what these individuals did and why they did it, supposedly according to the state's evidence. But he has been found guilty of his actual crime. Flipping through my notes. I have so many notes on each and every one of these. All right, next one. Alan Miller was executed this past Thursday. What does this giant man have that is somewhat interesting? Miller, who is age 59, was sentenced to death in 2000 for the 1999 killing of 3 men. Was pronounced dead this past Thursday after execution in Alabama Department of Corrections. At 6:38, he was pronounced dead. But I mean, we hear an awful lot on this channel about somebody who's killed somebody else. But what makes him somewhat unique? Well, it has to do with the method of actual death itself. He was executed using nitrogen gas, making him only the second inmate ever executed in the United States by nitrogen gas. Why are they switching to nitrogen gas? Because the pharmaceutical companies that make the phenobarbital are refusing to sell it to states to aid in lethal injection. So states have had to find a new method to execute those who are on death row, for those states that don't have a moratorium on the death penalty. So nitrogen gas is actually being used now, according to those who witnessed the actual execution, family and those from the state, along with a clergy member. They said he passed on peacefully from the actual taking in of the nitrogen gas. He did not appear to have suffered, nor did he appear to be in pain. I'm sure there are quite a few people on the other side of this, from the family side, that wished he would have suffered for what he did. But again, the link is there in blue if you want to click on it to read more. This is from CNN, is the article that I've actually put the link to, but you can also look up his name, Alan Miller execution, Alabama, in your search engine if you wish to check it that way as well. Next story. Sam Bankman-Fried. We all remember Sam Bankman-Fried, don't we? Well, Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of FTX, the crypto exchange, who embezzled millions of dollars from cryptocurrency owners, has a new friend. Well, technically, I don't know if he's a new friend, but Sean Pitty, Combs, or P. Diddy, or whatever you want to call him, Puff Daddy. He is in the same housing unit as Sam Bankman-Fried. Not just the same jail or the same wing, but the exact same housing unit as Sam Bankman-Fried. In case you don't remember a lot about Sam Bankman-Fried, Sam Bankman-Fried is definitely, he's enamored with people who are famous. He wanted to surround himself with people who were famous from all walks of life: sports athletes, singers, actors, anyone who was famous. He really loved being around people who were famous. So I'm sure in short order after P. Diddy, was denied bail, that he, immediately was gravitated towards him. And for all those others who out there who don't know, not that it makes any difference for what he actually did, what Sam Bankman-Fried did, because anyone could have committed these crimes, who is smart enough. But Sam Bankman-Fried is also on the autism spectrum. But that's just a side note. It has nothing to do with why he committed the crimes or anything else. It's just something that people are like, why does he, why did he do this? Why does he act this way? Why is there this? But he did it. He is going to serve an awful long time in prison for what he did. Sam Bankman-Fried, and P. Diddy's trial is still coming up. And it's not getting better for him for the information that is coming out in the media right now for Sean Combs. All right, next one is which story is real and which one is fake. This is a feature that I do every week here on the channel. I give you one and three stories. One story of the three is real. Your job is to tell me which one is real. There are two of the stories are 100% fake. They may have been based upon a story that once happened at some point in the past, but they have been 100% of the story is now fake. The locations, the people, the events, everything has been changed, but they may take that small, tiny kernel of an actual real story and then blow it into something completely different. Like, this coming, October, that Michael J. Fox is going to be at Comic-Con in San Diego, California. That is 100% true. Michael J. Fox will be at Comic-Con this year in October, at the beginning of October, here in about a week or so. But there are fake stories out there that Michael J. Fox is going to be shooting a new television series based on his character from Silver Spoons. That's completely fake. But see, they took the story of him not being, a recluse as much as he has been because he's fighting his medical condition of Parkinson's, from going from that to, oh my God, he's going to be shooting an actual television show. Again, completely fake. But he is going to be at Comic-Con, that at least one of the 3 days of the Comic-Con convention. So again, your job is to sleuth out which one of the three stories I'm going to present is real. It's either going to be story number 1, 2, or 3. And all you need to do is put in the comments section either story, 1, 2, or 3, whichever number you believe is the real story. Story number 1. Memphis, Tennessee man previously sentenced to 2 years for drug distribution and armed home invasion robbery has returned to prison, not due to new charges, but for failing to serve his original sentence. It was discovered that he had paid a friend $33,000 to assume his identity, using his ID, and turn himself in to serve the sentence on his behalf. The scheme remained undetected until fingerprinting was conducted as part of his release from parole, ultimately revealing the fraud. Is this the real story, or is it the next one or the one after? Again, one of these is real and two of them are 100% fake. Story number 2. New York City. Law enforcement is intensifying efforts to address public urination in a subway station and on subway cars. As part of this initiative, the city has invested $2,788,000 on specialized paint that is applied to subway car floors and walls, and paint that is chemically designed to react when exposed to urine, aiding in the identification and deterrence of such behavior. However, an unintended complication has arisen as the paint also reacts to diesel truck exhaust, presenting challenges in its effectiveness. Is this the real story, or is it the next one or the one previous? Story number 3. Police have announced that they have arrested a 17-year-old female who stole a New York City subway car and took it for a joyride and then crashed it. At the time of her the arrest, she would only say, "Bruh, you tripping if you think you can get convicted. I'm going to skate and be a TikTok famous. Please cuff me, kick me, hit me, use the N word. I know you're itching to. Trip on my clout. Regine, get this on video. We're going viral." The entire theft of the subway car and the video of it crashing was caught on video as well. All of it was recorded. Is this one real? Story number 3, or is story number 2, or story number 1? Which one is real? Put in the comment section 1, 2, or 3. Only one of these stories again is real. The others are completely made up. People are fake. The events are fake, and it never happened. I didn't make them up. Again, these are what has been passed around in the news as real stories. I will give you up to 5 minutes to decide which one is real. Gemma is going with 2. And good morning, something to talk about. Glad you could be here with us this morning. Callie Lisa is going with 3. Heather, good morning. All of them are possibly real. LOL. It is possible, Heather. Something to talk about is going with 3. Kitty Q is going with number 2. Heather is going with number 1. Which one is real? One, 2, or 3. One of them is real. The other 2 are completely fake. Francie's going with story number 1. Take a guess. There's 11 of you here who are listening to and watching this stream right now. It should be 11 answers on the screen. One of these stories is real and the other ones are fake. You feel like story number 1 was real? Thank you, Interpeace, for putting the link to something to talk about YouTube channel. I appreciate that. Vote early and often. That's a good idea. Just vote for them all. Lemon Pie, good morning. And welcome to this morning's coffee brew. Right now, we're voting on which one of the 3 stories is fake, Lemon Pie. It might make more sense if you watch it and rewind, I guess. Or you could just take a stab in the dark right now and just say 1, 2, or 3. But I hope you had a great week, Lemon Pie. Diana is going with number 2. And good morning, Diana. Welcome to this morning coffee brew. Or is it Diane? Not Diana. I thought that was an A on the end. Diane. Sorry for that. Thank you, Interpeas, for putting Gemma's channel link up there. Everybody needs to go check out Gemma's channel and something to talk about. Have we had enough time to decide on 1, 2, or 3? Otherwise, I got 2 more minutes to decide if it's story number 1, story number 2, or story number 3. Ooh, we got some late joiners. People just clicking in. All right. Well, I'm going to give you the answer now, ladies and gentlemen, on which one of the 3 stories is real. Oh, I went too far. Story number 3 is the real story. The girl who stole the New York City subway car is a real story. The link that is on your screen that you can click on now or later is from the Associated Press. You can also find the video online. She is wearing a pink shirt and a pink like shower cap in the video, where her and another unnamed individual who is a juvenile, because no charges have been filed, because I don't believe the police have arrested him yet, go into the barn where the subway cars are turned off and left for the evening, and they go in and they start the damn subway car up and drive off with it, and then drove it all the way down the actual line, and then crashed it into another one on the opposite end that was currently out of service. But they went several miles in a subway car and then crashed it. And you see it in the video, them running towards the back of the train as it's about to collide with the other subway car. Fortunately for everyone on the subway car and in the surrounding areas underneath and around the subway car, they never did accelerate the subway car to full speed. They only got it up to about 10 miles an hour because they didn't know how to drive the train, because they're not that bright. They're, again, she is 17 years old and she wants all of this to go viral because she wants to be a TikTok star. And in the video of the arrest, you can actually see her trying to goat the officer into, call me the N-word, kick me, hit me, cuff me, do something to me. And then she has her friend standing there with her iPhone recording the entire incident. So trying to, again, make it look like the officers are being brutal to her or cruel to her in some way for the stupid thing that she had done. But she wants to be TikTok famous. That's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do something stupid for internet clout. And that's all she wanted was internet clout and to be TikTok famous. No care about anybody else that she may have hurt or any other destruction of property that she may have done. Did not give a rat's butt about that. It was all about making a video and getting famous. That's the world we live in. And there are an awful lot more of those people out there who will do things like this than you ever want to know about. Okay, so on your screen now is the upcoming trivia nights. These are all done and ready to go right now. So tomorrow, the 29th, we are doing part 2 of serial killer trivia. On October 6th, Sunday, we are doing H. Holmes trivia. And then on the 13th of October, we are doing Alex Murdaugh and I Killed My Family trivia. Those are the next three trivia nights. If you've never been able to take part in trivia night, let me give you a brief understanding of trivia night. First off, I do it at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Daylight Time, PDT, or Pacific Standard PST. All right, at 4 o'clock. That's 5 o'clock Mountain, and it's 7 o'clock on the East Coast. 3 hours difference from West Coast to East Coast. Each and every question is displayed on the screen with 4 multiple choice answers and other. Some people make up their answers by answering E and then putting a comical answer in at what the E, might stand for. It's all good. We only play for fun and entertainment. If you want to use Google or another search engine, or ask your hubby that's sitting on the couch or in his easy chair, or phone a friend or the person at the truck, the Love's truck stop, whatever it might be. Ask anybody. It's not cheating. We're only playing for fun and entertainment. We need more people to be involved in, and to take part in the trivia night. But again, these are the next 3 trivia nights. First serial killer, then H. Holmes, and then Alex Murdaugh. This is what I've been doing for the last week. I went down this rabbit hole of finishing up trivias that I've started, and I had maybe 10 or 15 questions, and there are 20 questions total on the trivia night. But I've been working on the H. Holmes and the Murdaugh a lot longer since his actual conviction. But all 3 of these are done now. So that's the next 3 trivia nights here on 411 Now. So again, make a post-it note, put it next to the device you watch, YouTube on. And, that says 4 o'clock on Sundays. I always do trivia. This coming Sunday, Serial Killer Trivia Part 2 is the 325th episode of Trivia Night. Obviously, H. Holmes would be 326 and Alex Murdaugh 327. But there are over 300 different trivia nights on my channel. They're not all about serial killers and murders. There are quite a few episodes of music trivia. There is pop culture trivia, but we have settled mainly in the last year and a half, 2 years on serial killers and crime trivia. That is it. But I hope that everyone, can join us again for the trivia night. There should be far, far more people, who are here for Saturday morning, and far more people who are here for trivia night as well. 36,000, subscribers on this channel. But if you take all the content, people who subscribe or follow me on, the different platforms, it comes to just over 175,000 people. But I don't seem to be able to find a way to grasp the time frame or whatever when everybody can take part in either trivia or the Saturday morning. Having only a couple, dozen people here, kind of alarming, and it has been brought up to me more than once, and was again last week, where I only had I think 20 people in the stream, and now you look at 175,000. Why are 175,000 subscribing if they're never going to watch the content live? Well, they watch it afterwards, and that is absolutely true. In a given week on YouTube, after I do this stream, like this stream right now, within the next hour and a half to 3 hours, somewhere in there, I will have 200-300 who will watch it afterwards. But it just doesn't seem to fit in their time when they're awake. Should I change it to a later hour, like 10 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. on the Pacific Coast where I start, these Saturday mornings? Possibly. I could look at that, if it would fit with more people's time frame down the line. But as of right now, I'm not going to be changing either one of the times, or days when I do either one of the the trivia or this morning show, because it fits the best for my schedule. And I mean, I still think 8 a.m. or 11 in the afternoon on Saturday, works the best for a lot of people. So it's something to kick around and think about and look into the data. So, Will, I will be emailing you after the stream. I need some autism advice. You do that, sweetheart. You know my email address is always open to you, and I look forward to hearing from you, even if you don't need my advice. I am always here for you, Gemma. And thank you very much, Gemma. I appreciate you sharing out my streams. I really do. Don't give up. Oh, I ain't giving up. Trust me, Cheryl. This boy don't give up. My mama never raised no quitters. And thank you for sharing as well. Something to talk about. Again, sorry for actually referring to you by your name. It's a habit. I see your name and it's like, oops, and I don't even think about it. Like, and I know you probably don't care that I refer to you by your name, but some people do. If I've started referring to everyone, by the names that I know them as, people would start wondering, who the hell is he talking about? What time is Central Time here compared to your time? Well, right now, all right, if you're in Central Time, something to talk about. Right now, it is 8:42 a.m. my time right now. So Central, you're what, 2 hours, I think. So it'd be like 10:40 your time, I believe. Sprinkled donut, yeah, please. Says hit the like button, everyone. Give this a thumbs up. I am constantly being shared out to, quite a few of you. Thank you again for doing that. Share out my stream to, your followers and people that, that may be interested in it. I'm trying to find a way to get more of the people who are actually subscribing, which is a whole nother can of worms. Only 17% of all the millions of views that I have acquired over the last year, 17% are actually subscribers. And that has to be, and I have to take that to heart that, I'm not doing or offering the content that would make those millions of people want to subscribe. So that's on me. I'm just trying to figure out a way right now how to get those that I do have, the 175,000 on all the different platforms, to, want to, click in and say, hey, I'd like to watch this while it's live. And I hope that I'll figure it out. It's just what I'm focusing on right now. Additionally, I need to let everyone know. So right now, I am using Restream. It says up there in the corner, Restream. That is the name of the company. I had a couple of different people comment on last week's stream on the trivia night after the fact. What is Restream? Restream is kind of like, think of it as a third company, a third-dairy company. There are companies like StreamYard, where you may not even notice the name, but you'll see their stupid little duck icon. That is Restream. Not Restream, but StreamYard. And then is Streamlab. There is Vimeo. These are other companies that offer a way to stream to multiple different platforms at the same time, as I'm doing right now. But Restream is the name of the company. It doesn't mean that I'm restreaming this right now or that it's not live. So I just want to clarify that for people in case you see that in the upper corner. Now, I can remove that, Restream, and put my own logo up there if I choose to, but I don't. I just never seen the need to. I could replace it with a donation goal bar. where it says I'm trying to raise $500 and here's a donation bar. And so for everyone who gives me a super chat, it brings that total down. I could put that in there, but I choose not to. There's a lot of things that I could do that I choose not to. I've always looking for you. Nice to see you. Well, it's nice to see you too, Alicia. I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well as well. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just trying to. This is my mind and what I'm thinking of and what I'm doing behind the scenes. What looks like a simple way of doing things, it is, and I've tried to boil it down to as simple as possible. But when issues like what's come up recently with YouTube and their infinite wisdom of deciding that we can't support 4K or 4K ultra videos right now, and that we're working on it, and they're diligently going to fix this issue, how does that affect me in the meantime? Somebody who clicks on my stream afterwards and they see it in 760 or 1080p and the video quality sucks, they question it because they're like, hey, what's going on here? Do I even want to be watching this because I can't understand what's going on because I can't read what's on the screen. I can't understand anything, but the audio's good, but the video sucks. That's not my fault. And I'm trying to fix it as fast as I can, or get YouTube to fix it as fast as they can because it's on their end what they are doing right now. Maybe they're upgrading hardware. I don't know. It didn't address any of that. It just said live streaming, replaying of live stream videos. Well, thank you, Gemma. I appreciate that. Just a little thank you for what you do. Love you, Will. Autism supporter, always. Will, have you done trivia on Coral Watts or Mary Ann Cotton? No, I have not. QTQ, I have not, but I'm going to write that down though. Mary Ann Cotton would be really interesting. I have a list somewhere. Maybe I have it saved in a PDF file on the thumb drive. But I came across a complete list. It was actually, I want to give credit where credit is due, but the entire list was put together by a Seattle Post intelligence journalist who is long since gone now, and so is a lot of other journalists who used to work for the Seattle PI. But they put together a complete list of known serial killers from the state of Oregon and the state of Washington. There are far more killers in the Pacific Northwest than I ever knew of. I knew of maybe 6, and in there would be, Ted Bundy would be one of those 6. But I had no idea. The list is like 70, some serial killers from Oregon and Washington. I may eventually do something with it. But I thought I printed it out, but I don't see it on my desk here. But again, if you guys could see the mess behind the camera, you'd understand the mess that is my mind. I was just reading on them and thought they were interesting. Mary Ann Cotton is definitely interesting. And 6 Cents Amelia, good morning. Welcome to this morning's Coffee Brew. I truly hope that you had a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us today. Going to cover Boone. More places to stash bodies. Gary Ridgway, right? I've covered Gary Ridgway before. He's a he's a one of those that's just like that's why you have so many notebooks. Oh yeah, behind me on the shelf and a lot more. I mean, try not to knock over. This is just the stories and the notes that I've taken for the past week on different things that I want to cover. And then there's serial killers. I was doing another, getting ready for another serial killer pets video. People seem to have liked that one, where I talked about the pets that different serial killers have had. Concurrent Gemma says content creators do have many notebooks. I know I do. Yeah, but I always refer to it as Gemma, that I'm an analog man living in a digital world. Everything that I do, I write it out on paper, and then I would then retype it into like a bullet points, and then I write out then from the bullet points I actually make out the script from there, or what I want to talk about. I write it out long form, I guess, from the bullet points. But I'm always doing that. Kyra Ora says Success Amelia. There are so many with Ridgway. Ridgway he's an interesting individual, and how long he got away with it and the countermeasures that he employed to throw off the authorities from being able to find him. One of the there are a few. I should say, when I say a few, I mean more than two, but probably 5 or 6, closer to that, serial killers that I know that have used countermeasures in their time while actively killing, to throw off authorities. Ridgway did everything he could think of, changing the tires on his vehicle to leaving false evidence behind. He did all kinds of things to throw off authorities. So when they did find the victims of his crimes, they're like, okay, and it led them in a direction that was away from from what he was doing or who he was. Will, are there serial murder stats of the Northwest? Are they higher than other parts of the U.S.? No. Francie, when it comes to the serial killer capital of the United States, the serial killer capital would be the state of California. California first, and then when it comes to the next highest density of serial killers, Oklahoma and Texas is next, and then the East Coast of the United States. You can look at the United States from West Coast to East Coast, and you can see the pockets. Now, California drew in so many serial killers because of the lifestyle, and the weather, and like that. It's just like why are there so many bodies that they're still discovering that are connected to the bone collector in Arizona, because of the weather, the migratory population, and and ease and access to victims and in that area. And then you look at California, same thing. People are here today, they're gone tomorrow. Nobody knows their neighbors. There's no community connections anymore. That's how, in a perfect environment for a serial killer to thrive. Same thing with Oklahoma and Texas and on the East Coast. Massive populations move around of people. Do you know when this person, did they disappear? Were they a murder victim, or did they move off to another state? Nobody next to them knows. Oh, I saw her at the supermarket, but I can't remember when. But it wasn't that long ago. And then it turns out the last time they saw them was like 5 months prior. But they have a memory. Oh, I saw them at the supermarket, I think. But yeah, those three different distinct populations. Pacific Northwest, there have been serial killers like Israel Keys, who was in Washington State, and then went to Alaska and back and forth. Ted Bundy. There's other serial killers who have started off in Washington State, and there's also been transient population of serial killers who have moved in and out of the state. Maybe they followed work into the state, or they followed someone else into the state, and then called it a certain area around the Pacific coast up by Seattle, or from along that way along the coastline itself, from it and home for a while, and then killed and kept on killing, and then when the heat got on, they moved on to Oregon or California or Idaho. There have been a lot of populations like that, but when it comes to serial killers, it's very rare for a serial killer to travel to kill. Only a few really popular and well-known ones have ever killed and traveled to kill. Samuel Little being one, Israel Keys being another. They traveled to kill. Ted Bundy obviously traveled, from West Coast to East Coast, but did he travel to kill? Killing was a byproduct of him moving and keeping ahead of the authorities. It wasn't he saw a victim or he knew he could get a victim, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Samuel Little or Israel Keys would follow a victim or knew there was a victim in a vulnerable situation at a coffee shop or a drive-through or something like that, where they worked alone. He knew that they knew these things, so they traveled and killed. Where Bundy, it was a byproduct of him trying to get away from authorities. It's either he escaped, and then killed along the way, or I'm okay today. Well, that's good, Pippadot, and good morning, Pippadot, and welcome to this morning's Coffee Brew. And Mike Stevens, ala akbar. Mountain lion wouldn't harm a fly. The reward to find their kids. I missed the previous comment. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better today, Pippadot. Well, what's a serial killer like? 2 or more victims? Do you want to go by the FBI's definition? All right. So in the circle of criminology, a lot of criminologists who study crime and crime patterns and behaviors have always wanted a serial killer to be 2 or more with a cooling off period in between actual crimes. Now, Robert Ressler from the FBI, who actually coined the term serial killer, he always wanted the term serial killer to apply to somebody who killed 4 or more. And he took that all the way to his grave. He never would allow anyone within the FBI to classify someone while he was still working for the FBI, not in the years after he retired, because obviously he couldn't do it then, but the years when he was working, he wouldn't allow, so there's only 2 victims, he wouldn't allow them to classify that person as a serial killer. He classified them as a serial criminal or another term, but never give them the serial killer term. Again, ever since then, and during the time, the 70s, when he came, and he came through the FBI and was an FBI agent and everything else, he always believed that a real serial killer is somebody who killed 4 or more. Criminologists, since before and during and still to this day, want the term serial killer to be someone who kills 2 or more, but with a cooling off period. Robert Ressler said, again, he agreed with that. There must be a cooling off period in between each homicide. Otherwise, you're a spree killer or you're, something else more than just, a serial killer. So even though, like, the shooters of, like, Columbine or, one of the massive school shootings that have, claimed multiple lives, they would qualify by the numbers itself. But, or Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma bomber, they would definitely qualify by the sure numbers itself. They're not considered serial killers because it was a singular act that took lives. And there was no cooling off period in there. So I hope that answers your question. I was so confused as a child with the name serial killer. Yeah, and criminologists, I'll tell you this, Alicia, you will get vastly different answers on what a serial killer is. Now, besides just the sheer number of victims, there are, you take two different criminologists from two different environments, backgrounds, who have two different areas of study. Maybe one studies more the psychology side of it, one studies the behavioral patterns, whichever it might be. But you get two different criminologists and you put them in, at the same table. They may not agree entirely on what a serial killer is or what causes a serial killer. There are precursors that that they have, the FBI and the DOJ have laid out. These are the things that a lot of serial killers have in common in their background. Bedwetting is one. Experimental or torture of animals, at a young age, domestic violence, poor nutrition, or access to food, when they're from a toddler through their middle school years. These things are found in multiple serial killers, but are they necessarily, if you have this one and this one, are they necessarily the precursors of that person is going to be a serial killer? You can't get two criminologists to, necessarily agree on what the precursors are or what a serial killer is. So yeah, I can understand why it would be confusing to you as a child, or to an adolescent, or even to as an adult, on what the real definition of a serial killer is. And likewise, at the same time, serial killers are adapting their method, their MO, their method of operandi. They're adapting and changing as society changes as well. We start putting in more cameras everywhere. We start making cell phones trackable, and anywhere you go, you can ping off of a tower, so they know where the last place you were. They've adapted to learn they, and take countermeasures themselves. Okay, we have to, if I'm going to get a victim, I have to get them in this area away from cameras. I have to get them here where, and then get rid of the cell phone or any kind of tracking device. I must use an older vehicle that does not have, Wi-Fi, or does not have any tracking software, because a brand new 2024 car is not going to have all that stuff. But a 1990s, car or truck or van is not going to have that tracking software built into the, computer system of a vehicle. So they've adapted and learned, and they're changing just like society. We make one leap forward and say this is going to be a countermeasure to stop homicides and serial killers, and it's going to make it harder, and they're not going to exist. Oh, they're still out there. They've just learned to adapt and to do it in a different way. And maybe they consciously know it. Some of them don't consciously know it. They just know that they have to, I have to find a better way. They're going to catch me. They're going to get, be onto me if I do it here or there. But without knowing, maybe it's, it's the technology that they're trying to avoid. Manson, Charlie, good old Charlie. Charlie is a career criminal who, by the by the age of his mid-20s, was so institutionalized. Even when he was outside, before he came up with the family. Charlie was institutionalized and should never have been released back out into the public. And now in hindsight, we know that. The FBI knows it, but there's some serious, shady things in Charlie's past that where he should have been arrested and incarcerated long before the Tate murder, and that would have stopped it. But I don't want to go down the conspiracy road there, but there are some things that happened that avoided him and Tex Watson from ever being arrested and locked up like they should have been way before him. I'm talking years before the Tate murder, where if you believe the conspiracy theories that the CIA and the FBI may have been involved in keeping Charlie on the streets, and because of the access, and him dealing LSD and controlling the counterculture in America. If you believe the conspiracies, then there is some things that definitely lead to that's a possibility because he was involved in everything. He wasn't just a hippie doing drugs and committing small petty crimes. There was a lot of things that Charlie had his hands in. He made it where it's a lot harder to document these things because a lot of things you just cannot find proof of online anymore. I mean, that's the thing about the world we live in, the internet. You can put the facts out there tomorrow about someone, and then not even 20 minutes later it's scrubbed from the internet and it never existed. And that's why more and more as time goes on, the written word is so much more important. You can't scrub that, and take away that paper, that book or that newspaper or whatever it might be, that written word. Because tomorrow we could decide that, Gerald Ford never existed. He was never president. He never did any of the stupid things that he did. We can make it all disappear tomorrow. Wait a minute. You can't, erase Gerald Ford. Yeah, you would think that you couldn't. But what's to stop, a utopian society, in 10 years from now, looking back and going, who was Gerald Ford? What did he do? Because the next generation is going to look at the internet, and if it's not at their fingertips, it's not real. So, welcome to the year 2024. Where it goes from here, and with the artificial intelligence, nobody knows, but it's a runaway train right now. Like the Wade Wilson. I just read an article about Wade Wilson yesterday. He's got a group of fans who are sending him love letters and cards and everything else, but apparently they were sending them to the wrong correction center. Wade Wilson, super fans, as the article described them. They're sending them actual cash in the mail, photos, racy photos of themselves, these women and men. Because it did definitely say that there were racy photos of both men and women. Love letters, all for Wade Wilson. What? Yeah. Francie, Gerald Ford wasn't the worst president ever. He wasn't the best president ever. But there are some things about Gerald Ford that a lot of historians, and I'm sure that Gerald Ford himself would like to have the world forget about him and his past. Like the audio tapes of him talking about his extremely large male member and how he needed to have his pants tailored, and fitted so it made more room for his giant member. These are factual things that Gerald Ford recorded conversations about and took notes about. There's nothing like a president sitting in the Oval Office measuring their male member, and to say, well, it's not going to fit, comfortably in these or that, or it's this big. You don't want that to be in your, presidential library. But these things are real, and Gerald Ford did them. So if we can erase those things from the history, will the next generation know about Gerald Ford and him and his audio tapes of recording that stuff and the phone calls that he made about that? We can erase it tomorrow, and it'll all be gone, and nobody will know that Gerald Ford had a long schlong. Have you seen what Wade Wilson looks like? I have definitely seen what he looks like. Yes, he looks like, well, a freak. That's my opinion of how he looks. It doesn't necessarily mean that, anybody who, has all those facial tattoos and everything else is a freak. God knows I subscribe and watch, enough, YouTuber, one in particular. I don't want to, have people compare him or think that I'm comparing him to Wade Wilson. But this one individual, let's just say, has tattooed everything from his eyeballs to a better 90% of his upper body has been tattooed. That's his expression of art for that individual that I'm talking about, not Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson is just he's a freak, and he's guilty for what he did. Melissa Jade. I've never heard of Melissa Jade. Maybe I know the channel name, if it uses a channel name, but maybe Pippadot does. No, Pippadot. No, Lisa. Should I? He said he had a big one, and that was way before D-Pix, right? At least he's not, Carlos Danger. Didn't Squeaky Frome attempt to take her life? I don't know. She may have, Alicia, or one of the. I do believe it was one of the former Manson clan who did. There are a couple of them that actually have been released from prison of the Manson clan. Recently, I've been doing a lot of Letitia stuff and Wade Wilson stuff. She is highly entertaining and hilarious and has a great group in the chat. Oh, there you go. I've just never heard of her before. I'm sure I probably, have seen the content. I watch a lot of content, a lot of creators, especially, channels that are into true crime, genre, if you call it that. But I don't necessarily know them by the channel name. I just, so this, let me give you a little background on what I do. Every month or so, I go through, all my most recent subscribers, and I click on their name, and then I see if they have a YouTube channel. If they have a YouTube channel and they have a video that has been posted within the last year, I click on it and watch it. If I like the content, I then have a list that I write down the name of the channel for that actual creator, and then I suggest it out to other people based on that. If I think that there is room for growth, or they have a unique take on it, I'll subscribe to the actual channel. Now, it might be like another month, maybe another week. I don't know how long it's going to take before I get back to that channel to watch more content. But I do. And I do this every month or so. I go through and I'm like, okay, who subscribed in the month of July and August? And I'll go through, if I get hundreds of subscribers, I'll go through hundreds of channels. Sometimes, if I like their take, or if maybe they mentioned another creator or something like that, or dropped a link to another channel because they're doing a review of someone else's content, I'll click on that other person's content and watch it. So to say that I've watched in the last 6 months 200-300 different crime channels, that'd be probably an understatement. But mainly when it comes to true crime, stuff like that, there's like maybe 6 or 7 that I watch, on a regular basis. I just don't know that name. But I'm sure if I saw a picture, I could probably tell you by the background or the familiarity to it if I've ever been there before. Seeing Crime Weekly. She is one of a kind. Well, I'll definitely look her up. My peeps, good evening, my peeps, or good morning. Welcome to this morning's Coffee Brew chat right now. They're one of a kind creators that besides that channel, Melissa Jade, Callie Lisa. I'm not a big fan of Jumpsuit Pablo, and it has nothing to do with the content. It has to do more with who Jumpsuit Pablo is and how Jumpsuit Pablo has treated other people in the prison genre. All right, so you have your true crime, and then you have like your former inmates prison related content. And I don't like how he has treated other people. Now, with that said, recently when Jumpsuit Pablo was on Duty Ron's channel, I really enjoyed that episode of with Jumpsuit Pablo on Duty Ron's channel, because I wholeheartedly support what Duty Ron is doing over there on his channel. But Stephanie Harlow, I've watched some of Stephanie's work content in the past. There's a couple out there that I refuse to watch, who in the past I've had words with, who are in the true crime genre, who've stolen my content word for word and then called it their own and didn't give me credit for the work that I had actually made. So that's a whole other thing. I'm not going to go around bashing people for what they do, but I probably shouldn't have even said that about Jumpsuit Pablo. I'm sure he does a great job. I just don't like what he's done in the past. Can they have changed? I certainly could have. But when it comes to prison-related content, there are a couple of channels that I watch in that genre, and that I do support. So just don't like how some people get treated. So is Annie Elise. Write that one down as well. Annie That name sounds familiar though. Why do I know that name? I may have actually watched that channel before. Annie Elise. Well, I sure don't want to support anyone who's stolen your work. It happens. Pippadot, there was a time when it really used to upset me, when people used to do things like that. But as somebody who has been a great mentor of mine, in this YouTube, journey that I've been on, and he's been here. You'll never see him in the comment section or in a live stream, but he's here, and I know he is because we talk outside of the actual platform quite a bit. Told me once, several years back, probably about, when I say several, probably 2.5 years ago, somewhere in there, that nothing that is online is new. Everything that is out there has been done before, and somebody else is going to copy it, or they're going to trend jack it and that's where you jump on a hot button issue or topic, and then you run with it. And that's what's called trend jacking. They're going to copy it, trend jack it, or they're going to take your content or somebody else's content and make it their own, 100% of it. And I've had everything from people block out my logos on videos, and then put theirs over the top of it. I've had people, use the closed caption system and print out a script of everything that I wrote, and said. I've gotten rid of quite a few of those by making additional videos that are filled with errors just to see if they'll copy them, and they did, and they got caught with it. So, and their comment sections were just like a fire, roasting them for, you made this mistake, you made that mistake. So it's like, I know it's petty of me, but I did it anyways. Yeah, it's low, but it like, again, Francie, if it's out there, it's your idea and your content today. Tomorrow, it's somebody else's, and I've seen it over and over again. Good morning, Gayla. Current issues are new. Yeah, it depends. It really is. But trend jacking is I mean, that's how people they chase that clout, or subscriber total. I gotta get to 1 million. I gotta get to 100,000. What's the fastest way? I know. I'll buy my subscribers. So they go to another site and they buy subscribers, and you'll see, like tomorrow afternoon, this person's never put out a single video or community post or anything, and they have 998,000 subscribers. How did you get 998,000 subscribers and you never put out anything ever? Or you have 2.5 million subscribers and you've never put anything out. How do you get there? Where do you get 2 million subscribers from? You buy them. There are websites, they're all over the internet. Buy subscribers. Get your ass banned in a heartbeat for YouTube, if they find out you do it, because it's against the TOS, terms of agreement, terms of service. But people do it. They do it all the time. And that's plagiarism. But is it plagiarism? That's a fine line there between, is it plagiarism or is it, copying? Look, there are entire channels and genres out there where people just react to other people's videos. They take 100%, they take your actual video, and then every once in a while, they'll be on a screen in a separate window, or you're in the background, and you're talking about the content, and then they pause it, they add a little content of their own. They are doing just enough to transformally change the content so they can do it. And that's the entire 100% of their catalog on social media is making fun, and poking fun at other people and their work. Is it plagiarism if they're taking your 100% of your content and doing that and then adding just a little bit of transformative change? Yeah. Or the people who take a video and then they don't say anything or do anything and they make YouTube shorts out of it or TikToks or Instagram, posts or Facebook lives. And then all they do is tear you down for everything, how you look, how dusty the area is, how you're too old for the content. And then once their community jumps on that, they go after that individual. I've seen it. I've been part of it. Doesn't bother me anymore. But anything for the numbers. People put their value in how many numbers they have. I have 61,000 subscribers. I'm important. I have 2 trillion subscribers. I'm more important than the other person. Let's have a race to see who can get to the ruby play button that doesn't exist. So they'll have to make it. Does it make their content any better? No. Stealing someone else's work, words, art, ideals, etc., is all identity theft. It is, to a great extent. And Heather, I'm so glad I came across your channel. I truly enjoyed here. Thank you for all you do. Well, thank you, Heather. And I hope that you're enjoying the community that I've built here as well. Wouldn't and couldn't do it without the community that I have and the moderators and everybody else who are here with me. That is the absolute truth. Wouldn't and couldn't do it without them. Yeah, and you know what's funny about that, Pippadot, about people buying subscribers? It's against the terms of service for YouTube to buy subscribers. Not against Facebook, not against TikTok, not against Instagram, not against anyone else out there. Just YouTube. Who owns YouTube? Google. If you go to Google right now and type into the Google search box, buy YouTube subscribers, you'll get a dozen different ones who will tell you that they have real subscribers, people who really will subscribe to you. For $1,000, we guarantee you X number of subscribers for $1,000. Well, people do it. Now, why does Google, on one hand, allow these things to be in existence if they know that they're buying them just to violate the terms of service of the company that they own? Why? Why do they allow it? It's because of money. Money makes the world go around. Money keeps the machine moving. If you can find these people over here who are doing it, well, then you just kick them off the platform. But these people who are doing this stuff, they're smarter than the average bear. They have 2 or 3 different channels. Maybe they have a dozen different channels at the same time. So, well, you shut this one down, I've got 11 more, and I'll make a dozen more tomorrow. All you need is an email address to start a YouTube channel. That's all you need. So you go to Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail. I think Hotmail's around still, isn't it? But Hotmail or whatever, and you make a bunch of email addresses, you can start new YouTube channels. You can just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. There are people who game the system everywhere. Or how about those channels out there that I'm sure you've probably seen them, who come online and they will tell you, hey, if you subscribe today, and you click that like button and leave a comment down below, you'll be entered into a monthly prize. What proof do they ever have that they've given away a single prize? Maybe they have their friend. They take a picture of their friend receiving, cash, and they say that person won last month, and then their friend hands them back the cash. Or they go and find a total stranger and they go, "Hey, can I take your picture? I need it for Instagram." And why would you want my picture for Instagram? So I can, I just think you're interesting. It'd be interesting for Instagram. So they take their picture, or they just take a video and take a screenshot of a video of someone, and they say that's the person who won last month. But they never give away the prizes. They never give away the things. Hell, even Mr. Beast has been caught, giving away supposed prizes where the whole thing was fixed. But you don't see anybody unsubscribing to Mr. Beast over it, or to Cutie Pie, or any of these other large, YouTubers. And I'm not dissing them. I'm just telling you what the things that are out there in the media, and people know. But that's the system you work, but again, people put their worth. They say, look, I only have 100 subscribers. I'm not successful. I have 1 million subscribers, but I should have 10 million. But they base their value on how many people are watching and how many people are subscribing. And that is just a terrible thing for society to live in, where you are judged by how many people are subscribing to your channel. And they really believe this. There are people who give up. They're like, I only have 2,400 subscribers, and I've been at it for 10 years, and I haven't been able to get, to that 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 subscribers. I'll never make it. So they give up. Or the person who, I only have 4 subscribers. I'm not worth it. People don't want to listen to me. People don't want to watch. Maybe the message that you're putting out there is not consistent, or it's not something that people want to tune into and watch all the time. But they do, and when they do watch it, they binge watch it. So it doesn't mean that your voice is not as important as the next person. But again, people place their value on the number. That's wrong. That is a wrong way to go. And just think about the young kids that are growing up, that are young teenage girls in particular, where they're in a race to try to get those views, those subscribers, and they base their value, they're told, and then constantly told, in society, that you're not anything unless you have a silver play button or plaque on the wall behind you, or you don't have a check mark next to your content that says that you're a verified, celebrity or someone rising on the platform. That is a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're a pubescent young teenage girl. That is hard. But that's the way society is. Everything is judged by that number, and it's sad. Will, your shirt makes me want to go to our local apple orchard for some warm apple cider and cinnamon donuts. Ooh, cinnamon donuts sounds good. I'm not a big cinnamon fan. Just my wife buys these for me. They're from Duluth Trading Company. They make some of the best damn shirts that I buy. Most of my shirts and socks are from Duluth. I've got quite a few pairs of shorts and pants from them too, but I love their shirts. They're thick, they're well stitched. They don't fall apart like the stuff you buy from Walmart or Target or anywhere else. The fabric's thin and it rips, and it's you have to wear 2 or 3 of them in a year. I mean, I've only had these ones for a little over a year now, but they'll last me forever. They do, because they're very well done and made. These are not insulated, but they do have insulated ones as well. But if you want to go get yourself some hot apple cider and cinnamon donuts, go right out and do it. I work in these damn things. Do physical labor, like in the yard, work auto mechanics, all kinds of things. Whatever I have to do in these shirts. They have held up so much better than anything else. They should sponsor me for telling the world about that. Significant other, sign if I can't, sing if I can't. In mainstream media, you're not allowed to lie, right? You get fired. Oh gosh, wouldn't that be the nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, unfortunately, though, in mainstream media, we have a lot of people out there that have lied their effing butts off. We'll just say that. Think back to the first invasion, in Iraq. We had people who phoned in their actual reports for what was happening on the ground, and they never left the Atlanta area. They were sitting in their apartments or condo or home, and they made up 100% of what they were seeing on the ground as the invasion unfolded. They were nowhere around. And then you have people like Brian Williams, who lied and said that his helicopter took on small arms fire while he was flying. And it turns out it wasn't even his helicopter that he was in, it was another helicopter altogether on another mission that took in small arms fire. It happens on the other side of the aisle as well. We've seen it on Fox News. We've seen it on CNN. We've seen it on ABC. Journalism is so far from where it was before. People lie all the time. Push that narrative. Push that narrative. Make people believe instead of actually doing the work. Oh, good old Dan Rather. Didn't REM write a song about Dan Rather? Isn't What's the Frequency Kenneth supposed to be about part of him or something like that? It's I know there's one song by REM where they reference Dan Rather if it's not What's the Frequency Kenneth. I live in North Cal, and Apple Hill opens in October. Ooh. You've always, my peeps, you don't like apples? Well, I'm sorry. But to each their own. I'm not a big fan of peaches. I like peach pie, but I don't like the fruit uncooked. You open the window still to cool with flowy sheet curtains. Yeah, Brian Williams is that guy who set up Chomo's Chris Hansen lied. Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of like where I came along with the story. The fake or real. Which story is real? Keep in mind that each and every one of those stories has gotten at least 10,000 shares or 10,000 likes since they've run out there. Most of them have of those stories on the fake or real episode, at the end of the thing, have been shared hundreds of thousands of times. And you have hundreds of thousands of likes. I don't make these things up. I literally, I'm not joking. I cut and paste them as the actual story is. Maybe it's the highlight of the story that I cut and paste, and I don't change anything. I really should sometimes because I have been caught with some of them that have had errors in them, like spelling errors or grammatical errors, and I just cut and paste them. And I have one real story. I pick either I'm going to put it in at number one or number two or number three, it's in the blank spot, and I just cut two more and put them in there. And then it's so much easier that way. And then I tell you number 3 or 2 or 1 is real, and then here's a link to the story if you want to read it. But I mean, that's just how they were written. I don't make any of it up. And people believe this stuff. There might have been like a small kernel of truth, that started off like the one today with the paint in New York City, that they're supposedly painting on the subway. That actually is somewhat of a true story out of San Francisco. They were having a lot of problems with people urinating outside of bars in all the Fisherman's Wharf in the San Francisco Bay Area. But it happened to be, it was the 1970s that they were having this problem. And they did develop a paint that would react with urine. But what they didn't understand was it reacted with the diesel fumes and from exhaust. And if a moving truck was pulling in the alleyway, it would look like somebody urinated along an entire wall because of the fumes. It reacted with the diesel fuel. But so that was the kernel of truth in that story. It has nothing to do with New York. Nobody spent that much money on the paint. It was a paint that was already known to be reactive and change colors. We've all seen the cars that get wet and they can change colors from purple to yellow or black or whatever. That technology's been around forever. They just used it in a different environment. But that tiny kernel of truth, and somebody picked that story and ran with it and made it about New York subway system. Because why? Because New York is in the media this week because the mayor was indicted. So all these stories about New York and rats and the rat, Congress, and thing that just happened there, all come out in the news, and they get shared again, and they get passed along and shared from one person to another. Everybody, my eyes are really bad, so typos are my second language, and I talk to text makes me look worse. I'm sorry. I have that issue myself. I'm not wearing my glasses. So if I read your name wrong and I say the wrong thing, it truly is. It's my fault. But I do have to wrap up this morning's, coffee brew here. I want to thank everybody who is still here for being around. Please give this a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whichever you prefer. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Another myth of YouTube is that thumbs down don't count. They do count. They count as an interaction, and they always have. Thumbs down or thumbs up. The YouTube system could not care less if it was a thumbs up or thumbs down. Somebody clicked on it. Somebody left a comment. It counts as an interaction. It's a tiny, tiny little sliver of anything that helps move the algorithm to share it out to more people or less people, but it's still an interaction. It shows that somebody took the time to make another step to actually, on that content. So give your, favorite creator a thumbs up or a, thumbs down if you don't like their content. I know it doesn't show you the number of thumbs down. A lot of stuff that I do gets an awful lot of thumbs down, but gets, 20, 30, 40% more, thumbs up. But I got to take off. My voice is starting to get scratchy and more raspier as I go. I'm talking too much. But I want to thank everybody again for being here. Don't forget, tomorrow night, trivia night is at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Daylight Time, whichever you prefer. 5 o'clock on the Mountain Time, and it's 7 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States. Again, every Sunday. This will be, the 325th episode. So if you want, you can go on my channel and you can click on, the playlist for Trivia Night and watch any of them. Now, not all 325 are on there. There's about 270, 280 of them on there. A lot of the older ones got deleted by YouTube, not me. I did take down like maybe 2 or 3 of them. because of technical issues like we had like a couple weeks ago where the damn thing wouldn't work and I had to restart the stream over. So the first one is only like 10 minutes long. I deleted that, but I didn't count it as another episode. But anyways, thank you again, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you all stay safe out there. Now, I did not see Purple in the comment section today, so I'm going to use Purple's line. Be careful out there. You never know who is standing next to you, and you never know who's going to come knocking on your door next. And I hope that wherever you are, Purple, I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I hope that, everything is getting better, health wise. So again, everyone, you have a terrific day. Bye.